Welcome to another episode of It Gets Butter. On this episode, I get to talk to a friend of mine, one half of the Skittle Squad Podcast, Paul Fifer. He's very accomplished in business. He also has a fantastic podcast. He's beloved in the gay community here. And we get to find out about kind of small town upbringings, if you will, what it was like, what he had to deal with, some struggles he went through, a lot of struggles he went through. I appreciate him being so earnest and open about it. I hope you can find maybe some solace with maybe some things you've gone through. And then he gives us a Crockpot recipe, our first Crockpot recipe. He's a guy who likes to set it and forget it. Recipe is going to be in the description. Please grab that, try it, let us know what you think about it in the comments. And I can't wait for you to hear this one. Here comes another episode of It Gets Butter. Counted too fast. And we are back with another episode of It Gets Butter. I am back with my friend Paul Fifer. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Hello. This is how I know you have your own podcast, because A, you know where the camera is.
Yep.
B, we have similar body types, so
Yes.
you already have yourself angled to make sure the camera doesn't capture you from the full side, which some guests have not known the trick of, and it shows. And after I watched my first episode, I was like, "Ooh, I need to angle myself." So we are at a new episode of It Gets Butter, the podcast where we talk about people's favorite comfort foods, why it's their comfort foods, hard times they've gone through, how'd you get through it, trying to create a community where people can find food, find advice, realize they're not alone, just a fun, loving world out there, because that's what I'm all about. Unless you see my stand-up, and then it's different. Anyway, less important. Paul, you are a very accomplished man in your own right. Definitely in business, you've gone very well, done very well for yourself. You had a great end of the year, I know personally, headed into a great year for 2026.
Yep.
And you and your friend David have started the Skittle Squad Podcast it was just last year, right? March of last year.
Yep.
Somehow you've done 3 seasons in one
We're in
year.
our 4th.
Oh,
actually.
nobody can pay it. It's too much. You're doing too much. You have seasons like RuPaul Drag Race has seasons. You'll be 2 years in and you'll be on All Stars 4.
Probably, yes.
But Skittle Squad Podcast, talk about that a little bit just so we can start there.
Yeah, so the Skittle Squad Podcast was kind of born from an appearance that I did on the Big Gay Radio Show. And this was back before they moved to their daytime format. So it was the 12 to 3.
That's when I did it too, by the way. Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
But after we were done, I was like, I really like doing this. I could do this all the time.
Right.
And David and I were already friends, and we were on the same bowling team. And David and I kind of have this banter back and forth kind of chemistry.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought, well, he would be good to have as a co-host.
It's nice when you can find that in a friend.
Right, right. So I asked him, and he was all in on it. So we started and we launched, and within, not even a year, we have going on 7,700 subscribers to our YouTube channel.
That's incredible.
We got second place in Best of the Bay for Best Podcast.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it just kind of blew up.
Yeah.
And took off. And the point of the show is that, we do like a segment of Hot Topics where we talk about current events, but the purpose of the show is really to join our community together and focus on those people who are actually making differences within the community, whether they be individuals or nonprofit organizations or whatever, and bringing our community together.
That's what I've liked about your show is you're able to, I've learned about different people, and I used to be very plugged into the gay community locally, and I've sort of unplugged from it a while back just because I was way too plugged in it. And stepping back, and now I get to kind of be like, look at all these people making these differences.
Yeah.
And it's so great to see where it's gone. And you guys have done a great job of creating a voice and a platform for those people. And obviously, it's been well received.
Absolutely.
I feel like season 2, episode 1 could have been better received. I'm just putting that out there to everybody that's listening. Right before we started, I did tell you I had a friend former guest on the show, complimenting your guys' podcast, saying how great it was and telling me I should do it. And then I had to remind her that I have been on it and maybe she should pay better attention. But that's a whole separate thing. All right, so let's talk. What is your relationship to food? This is first question for all the guests, kind of getting a baseline. It's pretty open-ended, but what's your relationship with food?
I mean, I think it's a love-hate relationship.
Sure, I get that a lot.
Because I tend to be one of those stress eaters.
Okay.
So if I'm stressing out, it's like, okay, what can I do to, feed myself kind of thing? And I tried to get to the point where I'm not reaching for food when I'm in stressful situations, but it's really difficult.
Yep,
I mean,
fair.
especially if I work partly from home and go into the office part-time. So when I'm working remotely, it's really hard because the food's right there, right?
Yeah, and food is comforting. I mean, and it's just,
it is.
And it's the act of snacking is just giving us something. It's a non sequitur, non-brainer that we're just able to take our brain off something. Listen, if there's a bag of chips, it's just chip after chip. It's just easy to do.
So easy to do, and it's like sometimes when I'm in that stress mode, I don't have that button in my head that says, "Okay, you've had enough." Like it just keep going and going and going. Before you know it, there's an empty bag on the desk, or there's
That's the serving size. By the way, all serving size should be the bag. Okay, don't make me choose. That sounds horrible. And I know from knowing you personally that you're not. You're more of a eat out, order food than cook, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
100%.
So your husband cooks more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you more order out. And yet we do have an actual recipe for you. So let's talk about what is your favorite comfort food. So you sent in a favorite comfort food. We'll put the recipe for everybody to see. And I like this because I think for people that don't cook much, I think these type of meals are great ideas because like the slow cooker, the Crockpot, the one pot meals are ways people that don't cook can cook. And you kind of overcome I have to prep this and then do this, and then once this is sauteed, move it here, let it rest, and then do this. Instead of taking all of that out and just put it all into one. Also, easier to clean up.
Absolutely.
Also.
Right.
But talk to us, describe your comfort food, and then we'll get into it a little bit.
So I chose this comfort food, which is chicken and noodles, for a couple of reasons. Number one, my grandmother used to make it for me. So it reminds me of her whenever I have it, and kind of reminds me of being back home. And, I come from a small family, so I'm an only child. My grandmother and I were extremely close, always spent weekends at her house. So it kind of reminds me of her. And then the second point is that I'm not much of a cook. I mean, I can cook, but, in the Midwest, it's all fried stuff.
Right.
So when my mom taught me to cook, everything was fried. Well, you can't sustain that.
You can't sustain it for long.
Without having a heart attack or something along those lines. So this is something that's really simple for people that don't necessarily know how to cook.
Right. Very
easy to follow, and you pretty much put it, like you said, in the crock pot. You let it go for 6 to 8 hours, and it's ready. So something very simple.
It's simple. It sounds delicious, and I know it's from the Midwest because you got a cream of something soup in there. That's what I love. I love anything Midwest. There's going to be a cream of something in there. Pick your cream of. It's going to be cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, cream of something's going in that pot. And I love that about the Midwest.
For sure.
It adds flavor and creaminess and deliciousness and unctuousness. It's just a fun word to say. So this comes from your grandmother, and that's great. And that's one thing about comfort food is that, it takes us back to a certain point. It takes us back to a memory, and that's kind of why it stuck with us. When was the last time you cooked this meal?
I want to say probably sometime last year. I made it for Rick, and Rick liked it a lot. The other thing I like about it is that if you're in a small household, you have leftovers for a period of time. So it's something that is easily I think you can even freeze it and you would be okay.
Yeah.
So it's something that is sustainable, that lasts a while, that's really nice on days like this when it's cold.
Yeah, by the way, woke up, what was it? It started yesterday. Woke up and it was
30 some odd. Well, at my house, it was like 36, I think.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, in St. Pete here, we woke up to a wonderful 47.
Yeah.
But also, I found if you wake up later in the day, it's warmer when you wake up.
Well, that's true.
So
That's true.
Also that.
That's true. I was up at 5, so that's why it was.
Oh, yeah. No, cold and early? No, thank you. No, thank you. I would be eating this in the morning just to warm up. That's what I'd end up doing. So one of the things that goes, and like I said with this podcast, one of the things that goes with comfort food is the reason for comforting. By the way, I want to side note, and I talked about it on a previous episode, I love that you cooked it for Rick. You cooked it for your husband, and I love that because one thing I love about childhood memories of comfort food is the getting to share them type thing.
Yeah.
So so my partner Matt makes his macaroni and cheese. So it's his grandmother's macaroni and cheese. And not only is it absolutely delicious, and I love it, but every time we go to an Easter event, our neighbors across the street, Thanksgiving event at my ex's house type thing, it's like he has to bring that. He has to bring that, and then they also want just a pan for themselves. But it is, I think, one of those nice things when you have people eating it and enjoying it, and it comes from your grandmother or kind of an heirloom recipe that people are going, you get that extra sense of satisfaction having somebody appreciate what your grandmother did.
Yeah.
You know, and that's its own type of beautiful part of life type thing. So like when your husband Rick is eating it and finding it delicious, you feel validated because you made it.
Right.
But also like, oh, you like what my family liked, and that just is a whole nother kind of sharing, which is always nice.
Absolutely.
So again, we talk about on the podcast having gone through a hard time. And one thing, and by the way, it has spread the gamut on every episode we've had. Like it's from breakups to cancer diagnosis to people losing friends type thing. We've touched on everything. And one thing that I'm hoping to create with the podcast is if somebody's going through something, they can come to this podcast and hear somebody going through maybe something similar. How did they cope with that? How did they get through it? One thing I find is that when we go through a hard time in our life, it's easy to feel like we're the only one going through that.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'll bring up, because I'll speak on myself and I'll get your opinion on this. I think gay people feel that maybe a little bit more, or maybe we have our own way. I know my family was very open when I was growing up. I had my mom's first cousin was gay. He was an uncle to us. He was in Orlando. We visited him all the time. There was no negativity around gay people. And even having a gay person in the kind of secondary family type thing, I still, when I was coming out, felt isolated, right? So I still felt like I'm the only one, like nobody can understand what I'm going through. And rationally, I look back at that and say, well, that's literally ridiculous because you knew a gay person in the family. Your parents were okay. And it was just an interesting, like, I felt, I put that isolation on myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's an easy thing to do in any crisis, hard time, anything we're going through. It's so easy to feel like we're the only ones, even though rationally we're not. Other people have gone through what we've gone through. So the hope on this podcast is people can come to it to also find, oh, I'm going through something, they've gone through something, I'm not alone. And I think just feeling you're not alone can be enough sometimes.
Yeah. And
then maybe hearing more. So I'd like to open it up to you about whatever you're comfortable talking about. Let's talk about a hard time you've been through. Pick your hard time in your life if you want.
Where do I start? Because my background's very much different than yours.
Sure.
So I grew up in a very small town, and I've mentioned this on the show before, and it was like population 5,000.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Very rural, very conservative. I grew up Southern Baptist.
That's always going to add to.
So, you were not gay.
Yeah.
I also grew up with, my mannerisms and characteristics kind of gave me away from the very beginning.
Right.
So I had a father that was, emotionally and physically abusive throughout my entire childhood.
Trying to stifle your natural...
Trying to get me to be a typical guy.
Yeah.
And I was more of a brain than I was sports.
Right, okay, yeah.
Sports oriented.
Yeah.
Wasn't horrible at sports.
You were Posh Spice over Sporty Spice.
Yeah.
If we can relate it,
absolutely true.
If we can relate it to the Spice Girls, I think that's going to be easier to understand.
Yes, absolutely. And then went through a time where, my parents were to a point where, I was bullied really badly in school, to the point where I wouldn't even go to school.
Okay.
I was skipping school constantly, not only because of the bullying, but because of the bruises and everything.
Sure.
I didn't want
from home
anyone
and from
to
school.
know.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't want people to know.
About how old at this point?
So you're talking probably 16, 17 years old.
Yeah. Formative years for anybody. Yeah.
So I was shipped off to my aunt and uncles in Houston.
Okay.
Went through a traumatic experience where I was held up at gunpoint and almost killed. And then a week after that, I was sexually assaulted. Okay. So two very traumatic events back to back.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That definitely shaped me. So it's been one of those things where, you kind of learn your own coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
I never told anyone I was sexually assaulted until way, way, way later on.
Yeah, and I don't want to interject too much on this, but I think it's important it's always, people that have never been in that type of situation, I think it's so easy to look on the outside and say, like, why wouldn't you just tell people type thing? But I don't think what people understand is that my understanding and just the brief kind of side part of that's maybe affected me in my life is there's just a reality of when things like that happen, you take on blame first and foremost.
Absolutely.
And so not only do you take on blame, but then shame comes with that blame. And then it becomes it's more of a survival mechanism than trying to get retaliation, vengeance, justice on the perpetrator. You just want to survive.
Yes.
And you've been in a situation, and I'm speaking very broadly about people, but you've been in a situation where you've clearly been shown that somebody can take advantage of you. And the last thing now is, I think the mindset goes to very quickly, I just need to survive and get through this, as opposed to kind of asserting or so on. And I think people have a misnomer about, especially when it comes to sexual assault type things, that, well, maybe it didn't happen because they didn't talk about it, or why are they talking about it now? And it takes a lot for somebody to find the courage in themselves and also their own self-identity to be okay to accept it happened, be able to rationalize that it's not their fault that it happened, and then be able to talk about it. And that takes however long that takes.
Yes.
And so it's just because you hear a lot in the world out there, the blame game on the victims. And I just wanted to take a quick kind of jump at, and obviously somebody that's been through it could speak heavier on it, but that's my opinion on, maybe we don't blame as much and we try to understand. Instead of why did it take so long, maybe ask, well, why did it take so long? Like, let me understand what happened and why it took 10 years to be comfortable talking, and why, and those are the better ways to deal with and understand, I think.
For all of those reasons that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So when after it happened, I immediately booked a flight back home.
Right.
And didn't even tell my family in Houston why I was leaving. I just left.
Which is really saying something, because you were leaving a bad situation to go to a situation that was not great for you.
Correct.
So it's like, that's how bad a situation it feels like it was to say, I'll go to this other bad situation, because it's the devil I know is better than this devil type thing.
Right. That's exactly right. And I think when you grow up in an environment of trauma that's going on, you get into this self-preservation mode.
Yeah.
So you get very protective of yourself. You don't let people in. You don't talk about things. It took me a long time to get to the point where I felt relatively comfortable talking about what happened to me back then.
Sure.
And there are still things that happen to this day that trigger those flashback type moments.
Oh, I'd imagine, yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, 2 or 3 years ago at Tampa Pride, someone slipped something in my drink.
Oh, no, okay.
And
yeah.
luckily nothing happened.
Yeah, but still.
But I totally blacked out for hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of triggered it and brought it back up.
Yeah, it makes you feel not in control again.
Yes.
And not only not in control, but in somebody else's control.
Yes.
And I can imagine that slips you right back into this feeling you've had to work to not feel like anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So so it's definitely been a struggle for sure. And I think it's one of those things, going back to the food, that's how I kind of learned to cope.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I weighed 110 pounds dripping wet.
Okay.
I could eat whatever I wanted to and not gain weight.
I was real skinny back in high school too.
Yeah. And then, the more trauma and the more times I turned to food, then the heavier I got. And I always like to bring up, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but I am Gen X. So the Breakfast Club, and I've brought this up on the show before, there's a line in the Breakfast Club where Bender is talking to Claire.
Right.
And he essentially says there's 2 types of fat people, those that were born to be fat and those who used to be fat or used to be skinny and now are fat, so they can see that skinny person. And that's me.
Right.
I'm in that second category. So there's a lot of times when I'm looking at myself in the mirror or I'm seeing myself, especially in the public eye, seeing myself on camera, and I'm like, oh my God, I look huge.
Yeah.
There's that self-criticism.
I get that. I'm great from face on, but when people shoot me from the side, it's a hate crime. I have told photographers.
Absolutely.
I have told photographers at shows that's homophobic to shoot me from the side.
Yeah.
How dare they?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because when Rick and I had our engagement pictures taken, Dylan Todd did our engagement pictures, and I told Dylan specifically, don't shoot me from the side. Please, do not shoot me from the side. Everything front.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it.
So that's, all right, I said pick a story, and you gave quite a lot in there.
I'm an open book.
No, but I think that's great, and I really appreciate us being able to dive into it some. So I would say, all right, so this is actually a really good question. I think it's going to fall well into what we were talking about. But the next question would be kind of like, how did food play a role in getting through those hard times? And it sounds like, as you were internalizing, as you were dealing with, as you were figuring out just how to get through, you kind of mentioned that you kind of turned to food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of looking back, maybe why did you turn to food? Is turning to food just one of those food can't wrong you? Because food's delicious and food has done nothing wrong. And I challenge anybody to say otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it came out of convenience.
Sure.
And when you go through depression and anxiety and PTSD and check all the boxes, I have them all.
Right.
A lot of times food is the easiest way.
Yeah.
To deal with those type of feelings, and it's so easy to go through a drive-through and get some fast food, or go, order Uber Eats and get something, delivered to your house, or grab a bag of chips or whatever.
Yeah.
So
let's not pretend like we had Uber Eats growing up.
Well, we did not.
We are both Gen X. I said I'm Gen X. You can fact check that. Matt/man in the chair / producer. Every time I say I'm Gen X, he gets upset, even though it goes until 1980 when I was born.
It does.
Yes,
it does.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff. I don't know why you feel the need to explain it.
Google it. But yeah. So and convenience of food becomes kind of a cop out for us too. It's a convenience of food, right?
Absolutely. it's like if I'm having a busy day at work and I'm in back to back meetings.
Yeah.
It's so easy for me to get on an app and order something and have it delivered than for me to go into the kitchen,
heat up
because a lot of
something
times I don't have the time. I'm
Yeah.
literally in back-to-back meetings.
Yeah.
So, Rick gives me a hard time about it all the time. But I think now he's to the point where he's like, because he got me a gift card to 2 places that I typically order all the time.
Okay.
And that's Bonefish Grill and Chipotle.
Okay.
So, I can have relatively healthy options there.
Sure. Can.
And I do. Because I am back on the watch what I eat
Right.
regimen. But I do yo-yo a lot too. So, there's times where I go on a spree where I'm like, I'm very healthy and I'm eating right and so on and so forth. And then it's like something will happen and I'll be like back on the fast food train again.
But I also want to point out, and I'm not a nutritionist or a health advisor, but I will say this, from a personal standpoint, it's okay to yo-yo type thing. It's okay to lose your track and find it again type thing. It's like, that's okay. If you fall off the wagon, it doesn't, like, I don't like when people are heavy hard on a diet and then they fall off and then they're just like, well, I tried, and then they're completely gone. And it's like, no. Like, mistakes can happen, and just own the fact that mistakes can happen.
Right.
And it doesn't mean it's not black and white, right? Like, you can start back on the diet. Like, that's fine. I do want to ask, and more importantly, in getting through because really at 16, 17, that's such a definitive, I mean, God bless from the times we grew up in to now, because I will say my brother has 2 kids, and the oldest just turned 16, and he's recently come out as a trans man. Or boy, he's 16. And so, but my brother and my sister-in-law are great. They're supportive. She's a part of PFLAG in Asheville. They asked me to come do a fundraiser show for PFLAG. And it is just great because, again, it's not that my parents were bad by any means. There was an adverse reaction to me coming out, but it was just, it's not the life they thought of for their son, and they had to come to terms with that. That being said, they don't have any issues. I mean, my ex is their favorite son. I mean, it'd be great if it was me or my current partner or my brother, but whatever. But they don't have a problem with the gay part, which is great. But not having a problem with and seeing the support that my brother's family is doing for a 16-year-old trans, I call him an upcycled nephew, which he is okayed. So I don't care what the internet says. That is an okay term because recycled sounds bad. And it's just great seeing the change in times that can happen. And that's what kind of, like, what your podcast does is putting a voice out there more for a lot of different communities, lets people hear about it more, and so on.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, as somebody who had the opposite of that, we'll say, growing up and dealing with that and going through all of that, how did you see your way to the other side of that? Like, what was it that got you? Was it a mentality? Was it just flat out leaving? Like, what was, I don't know if you remember, I'll let you speak at some point, Paul, settle down. I don't know if you remember 20 years ago, Dan Savage helped put out a campaign, It Gets Better. Which has no relation to this podcast, It Gets Butter. I don't know what you're talking about, lawyers. But the concept of that was, if you were being bullied in high school, just get through high school. It gets better. Just, if you're being bullied in the city, just become an adult and get the hell out of there. Like, the concept was, just get through it. It's going to get better for you. And it was really to stave off the high percentage of suicide in our community and so on, is just knowing it can get better. You just need to get through the shitty time. Talk us through what got you through it. What was the thing that helped you? Because you had a lot holding you back from getting you through it, actively trying to stop you from getting through it as you are, trying to change you, trying to stop you being you. How did we get from that to, the lovely you that you are now?
Well, it was it was a journey for sure. So when I hit 30, and I've talked about this also, when I hit 30, I just decided to pack up everything and move to Atlanta, Georgia. And
it's a great place to be gay, by the way.
Yeah, no job, no place to live, just whatever I could put in a U-Haul, and just drove down there.
Yeah.
And ended up being in Atlanta for 14 years. So it worked out.
So you were 30 years old in Atlanta. This
Yep.
is 1964. I'm kidding. That was rude. No, this is late.
It was
late
1996.
90s? Okay, late 90s. That was a good guess.
1996, 97. The Olympics had just ended in Atlanta.
I was there for the Olympics.
Which is why I kind of picked it, because
Okay.
I was like, oh, they just had the Olympics there.
Yeah.
Why not go there? And I knew I wanted to go somewhere warm because Illinois is cold.
Sure.
So, so ended up there, and then it was a journey. I went through this period where I wasn't quite sure who I was.
You know, and
so
that's fair.
I went through a period where, I would go out or be in relationship with guys, and then they would do something to screw me over, and I'd be like, okay, I'm back to women. So I would go back to women, and then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
That did not work out for you.
Yeah, that did not work out for me. So it took a long time for me to finally feel comfortable in my own skin and I think it was when I moved here that in 2014 where I was like, you know what?
This is me.
This is me. Yeah.
And I think, and it's been said before, and I think it's a good point to really hammer home to people, is that if you know a gay person, especially a Gen X on type thing, if you knew a gay person when they were growing up, you did not know that gay person.
Yeah.
You knew the person they were pretending to be to get through growing up. Even me with a supportive family, I still was not 100% who I was when I was young.
Yeah.
And we, at some point, come to terms, because we have to accept who we are first.
Yes.
We come out, we accept who we are, we accept the kind of cultural shame, especially at the time that came with that. We work through that shame to no longer be shameful of who we are. And then we get to find out who we are. So it is one of those very interesting things. Like, I mean, even in college, some of my best friends, one of them felt very betrayed when I came out because he felt like the type of person I was, I would have been out in college and so on. And I was like, well, you knew a version of me, but like you should know me now. Now I'm much more open. I'm much more, giving. But because I can be, because I'm that to myself. I'm able to accept who I am myself. Another great friend, Swedish Mike in college, he was upset when I came out because he lamented all the wasted time trying to set me up with the wrong people. And so, but that's just a Swede's opinion, and I love their mentality on it, is he just wasted time setting me up with the wrong people. But I think, so that's also, we kind of talked about things are going to take as long as things are going to take.
Yeah.
And that's, I think people need to just remember, don't try to force, like, it's been 5 years, why don't I know who well, things are going to take as long as they're going to take.
They do.
Just keep moving forward, ideally. If you take a step back, that's fine. Take another step forward the next time. But it's going to take as long as it takes. And Atlanta's a good place to find yourself. I'll say that. Matt actually loves Atlanta. He's just lived there twice.
I do too.
It is definitely a very fun city. So I'll ask you this. I think this is going to be, of all the ones I've had, I think this will be really interesting hearing these two next answers from you. But what advice would you have for anybody going through your situation you went through? What advice would you give them?
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know you were going to have to change the world today, but you do. You were like, I just wanted to talk about chicken noodle soup, Jeff. What are we doing?
Wow, that's hard because,
Oh, the next question's even harder, so don't worry. Get this one, and then you'll be ready for the next.
So, I think one of the things that I did not do that I should have done, maybe we'll approach it from that perspective, is that you have to have someone you can confide in and talk to.
It makes a difference.
Whether it be a therapist, whether it be a close friend, a family member that you're super close to. I spent so many years keeping everything bottled up inside.
Again, feeling alone when you probably didn't need to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That it was detrimental in a lot of ways. So I think if you can find that one person, just
Sure.
has to be one person
Yeah.
that you trust and talk these things through with. I think that does a big, it's a big difference for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Again, it adds somebody to it starts creating that support network.
Yeah.
And the support networks are very important. And that's probably what happened when you got to Tampa Bay area. Tampa Bay, I think, has a great support network for people.
Absolutely.
And I think once you fall into that, you start feeling, like, oh, this, and I'll be honest, one of the things that helped me come out, I started dating somebody.
Yeah.
And I was very happy to be dating somebody. And then I realized I'm so happy dating this guy, but my parents don't know I'm gay and I can't bring him home to them. And that makes no sense to me.
Right.
Because I'm open with my parents about so many other things, but I can't talk about the relationship I'm in. So that is what caused me to come out to my parents because I wanted to be able to brag about this relationship. Now how that happened is a whole nother story, and you can check out my one-man play, Beige Glitter, Gabe and Not Good at It, to see how that went. But it went hilariously, is what I'll say. All right. So my next advice for you, and I think you've already answered this in your first one. You're taking away the question. My next question for you would be current age Paul, knowing what everything current age Paul knows.
Yeah.
And all the work that you've put into yourself.
Yeah.
What would you tell 16-year-old Paul as he's starting to go through all of this and dealing with all of this and finding himself and finding who he is? I would actually, because of how you phrase things, let me do it this way. What would you tell 16-year-old Paul, and what would you tell 30-year-old Paul? Because those are at different points in your life and you're still doing different things. But let's start with 16-year-old Paul. He's dealing with the abuse. He's dealing with he's about to be shipped to Houston and not have a great time in Houston with a lot of more problems. By the way, you told a story on the podcast episode I was on with working somewhere and being held at gunpoint. Was this a separate held at gunpoint?
No, this was the same story.
Same story. Okay,
Same
okay.
story.
I was like, how many times have you been held at gunpoint?
Only once.
You goddamn Wild West. All right, only the one time. That's fine. But David has been held at gunpoint multiple times.
Yeah.
He was trying to win that argument.
David was like, didn't want to go on the ground because he was scared to dirty up his
he was
clothes.
afraid.
So
They were like, get on the ground. He's like,
you
this
think
ground?
you think I'm the princess of that group? No, not so much.
So what would you tell 16-year-old Paul, knowing what you know now and knowing more about yourself now, what would you tell 16-year-old Paul?
That it gets better.
That it gets better?
Yeah, that it gets better.
And then what would you tell 30-year-old Paul? He just gets to Atlanta and he has not found himself yet. But he's starting that journey, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. What would you tell him? Women are gross? I'm just kidding. I'm sure you're not. I don't know.
Just to keep going, be strong.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Again, it gets better.
I thought you were going to say, well, it gets butter. I feel like you've been saying the podcast wrong for way too long now.
No, I feel like there's a common thread throughout that whole thing where, you think you're never going to recover from things that happen in your life.
Yeah.
And then you come out the other side and you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
So it's...
I feel like in so many different of the instances that we talk about on this podcast, I think a recurring theme is people, when you're faced with something, you do think, I can't get through to the other side. Even though if you just look back, you already have multiple times.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time you've gone through something, and it won't be the last time you go through something.
Absolutely.
But in that moment, we forget that we've done this. We can do this. We keep doing it. We keep proving we can do it. And yet somehow we keep forgetting that every time we're in a situation. We're like, but I can't, but there is no other side. But historically, there always has been.
Yeah.
So if you just take a breath and go, oh, that's right. There is something.
Yes, absolutely.
I've mentioned this once before on the podcast. I'm sure people are going to be tired of me hearing about it, but it's also one of the tattoos I have on me, so I'll mention it as many times as necessary. But when I was in college, I took a class on counseling, and I think this will possibly hit very home for you because we talk about crises. I don't know what the plural of that is. Crises. And one thing about that they teach you in counseling class is when somebody goes through a crisis, which 4 different instances of crises we'll say in your scenario, right? Briefly, we'll count them as 4 different ones. Each crisis Your timeline is going to be forever changed.
Yeah.
But each crisis doesn't mean it's going to be changed for the worst. Each crisis means it's going to be changed, but how you come out of it could be better or worse.
Absolutely.
Your timeline is forever altered, but it doesn't mean it's always altered for the worst. And so what I've always been impressed with, and which is the tattoo on me, is the Chinese and Japanese words for, or symbols for crisis are made up of two symbols, danger and opportunity. And what I love about that is that philosophy is built into their language. Mm-hmm. So they know when they're in a crisis situation, whether it be at gunpoint or, and I'm not, making light of the situation, but whether it be at the end of a sexual assault. In that moment, you may not be able to look at this and say, my timeline's going to be better from this.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it can't be.
Right.
And one of the reasons I got the tattoo on me is because I always want to remember that. I always want to remember when I'm in a hard time. It's not easy to remember that. When you're in the hard time, you're feeling things, you're dealing with things, right. You have other important stuff going on. Mm-hmm. But that's why I got the tattoo, just to remind me, if I look down, I can go, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Where is the road to a better side from this? It may not be tomorrow, it may not be the next day, but there is one. There always is one. And it's going to take as long as it's going to take, but we can get there. And I think you've proved that, obviously, in your life. You've been through many different crises.
Crises. Thank you.
Thank you, man in the chair. And you've done so well for yourself at your ripe young age of 47.
58.
I was being kind. 58? Oh, good for you. All right. That beef tallow every night is doing great for you.
No.
Yeah, he literally just rests in steak and shake fries.
I do.
Every night. And look, I mean, you're doing great professionally. Mm-hmm. You have a great support of friends.
Yeah.
You have an award-winning, second place, podcast. You have great friends. You're on an award, soon-to-be winning podcast. And I like that that's a real example for, things can get better. All right. All right. So let's go back to your comfort food. Chicken and noodle soup, great for the soul, which you need. What type of person, when you picture somebody, I put the recipe out,
yeah,
somebody's going to see that recipe and be like, this sounds great. I want to try it. If you close your eyes, who do you see trying this recipe? Describe the person you're picturing cooking that right now. Do it.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like that was the easiest question I've given you so far.
That's the hardest question.
Let's dive into your sexual assault. Who would cook my food? I can't even.
I don't know. I think anybody who is looking to, again, I'm going to go back to the cold day like today.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than to be wrapped up in a warm blanket, drinking, hot chocolate or coffee or whatever, and then having chicken and noodles. It's so comforting.
I am angry at the person who is drinking coffee or hot chocolate with chicken noodle soup because you are messing up the flavor profiles on both of those. I feel like they are
Maybe
competing.
Not the same time.
I feel like that is competing flavors, and I do not condone that, just so we're clear. All right, my next question to you is going to be, so that's your comfort food, and that's great.
Yeah.
And I love that you've cooked it in the last year. I love asking people when they did cook it last, because sometimes it's been years, and I was like, is that your comfort food then? But what is your, what's your guilty pleasure food?
Oh, that's easy. Tacos.
Just tacos.
Yeah, everybody knows me for tacos.
All right, now I got to get into tacos. And I say this as I love tacos, but Matt is very ingrained in the Mexican culture, and he is a taco fanatic, but he is like street taco. Like he is on the streets of Mexico, taco. What is are you hard or soft shell? Let's start there. No wrong answers, but I'll let you know if it's wrong.
Hard shell.
Hard
usually.
shell? Sure.
Yes.
What's your topping? Is it just a plain taco? Is it just beef and cheese? What are you getting?
It's usually just beef and cheese, although I will tell you that there is a restaurant in Hyde Park that has like the mini tacos, so you can order whatever flavors you want.
Sure.
And I love that place because then you can try different ones.
Okay.
And kind of pick what your favorite is.
We're going to get that name of that restaurant and go there. Babe, we're making a road trip to Hyde Park.
It's great. It's fantastic.
Well, it's funny because he's so traditionalist on tacos because he just loves Mexican culture, Mexican food so much.
Yeah.
That there is a place, it's a bit of a chain. It's in a couple places, but I go to it in Asheville whenever I'm there, and it's called White Duck Tacos. And, like, I love them because it's like gyro tacos and butter chicken tacos. And he's like, those aren't tacos. And I was like, but they're delicious. I still love them.
Just because it's shaped like a taco does not mean it's a taco.
Well, you tell that to the Choco Taco because that is also a taco. I will make the argument with ice cream and chocolate. All right, so taco is your go-to. I don't know if that's really a guilty pleasure, though. I mean, because the world loves tacos. That's not a guilty pleasure.
I mean,
I'm going to challenge you to give me something more guilty.
Gosh. So are we going to talk about the, recent episode where I mentioned that I used to dunk my Twinkies in cream of wheat?
First of all,
Because
there's so much about that angers me. First of all, why... Had you mentioned cream of wheat earlier, I would have guessed in the 50s sooner. Who has cream of wheat laying around?
grandmother.
Okay, so that's a nostalgic. I
Yeah,
get. Okay,
yeah.
I can start to get on board, but also something should just be a memory and not in your house. And then you're dunking Twinkies
your
in cream of wheat.
It's really good. Trust me on this.
I don't think I will. But I love that they're both from the same Cold War era of food. The Twinkie and the cream of wheat. I don't know when they both came out, but that feels right. Matt doesn't have his computer to Google these for us right now. They're sitting over there. I want to know when the Twinkie came out and when cream of wheat came out. He's on it. All right. That's just out of curiosity. And I like putting him to work occasionally as the man in the chair. So was that a childhood thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, so every weekend I spent with my grandparents.
So I was just going to ask because your grandmother's definitely an influence on you,
Yeah.
especially culinarily, as we're finding out, right?
Yeah.
Was that, I'll go back to, was that a bit of a safe space for you?
Yes.
Did she accept you for who you are?
Well, it wasn't so much that. It was
Did she not punish you for who you are, I think, at that point?
So no, because even when I did finally come out,
Sure.
my mom's condition was do not tell your grandparents.
Sure, which
So
I dealt with that a little bit.
So they never knew. But the thing for me was if I was at Grandma and Grandpa's house on the weekends,
Yeah.
I wasn't getting beaten.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was still
it was
a safe place.
Space.
Yeah.
It was a safe space for me.
Safe space or space away from danger,
Yes.
even, you
Yes.
know. And although it may not have been as accepting, it's still a better option
Right.
for you. And so I could see then where a lot of your comfort for what you were eating there comes from also that safety of being there type thing.
100%.
So that makes a lot of sense. It doesn't forgive Twinkies and cream of wheat. What have you got for us, Matt?
Look at your...
He has sent the message. I am bringing it up. All right. We're playing with the real-time ways here. All right. So cream of wheat was established, came out in 1893.
Okay.
And Twinkies were in 1930.
Okay.
That means for 37 years, nobody knew the beauty of dunking a Twinkie in cream of wheat.
I was the original.
You may be the only. By the way, you may have been the first and only. I don't know. I swear, if this becomes a new TikTok craze, I'm going to be so angry and happy that people listened. All right, so that is definitely. When was the last time you did that?
It's been a while.
Okay.
So I would say probably it's been like several years. Maybe during the pandemic I did it.
I'm proud that it's been a while, but also I feel like I've unlocked a memory that you're going to go back to doing it soon, and that makes me sad, and my fault. But it's curious, and I try not to judge people's. Well, here's the thing. I promise not to judge people's comfort food on this podcast. I did not say I would not judge their guilty pleasure food, and I'm trying not to judge that. But
well, I mean, isn't there like weird food combinations that people have that?
Yeah, I mean, I get like
pineapple on pizza. Like, there's a big debate about that.
Yeah, there's the salty sweet of life type thing, like dipping your fries in your Frosty,
right?
And all of that goes back to salty sweet. So I'm not against salty sweet. I'll do pineapple on pizza. I've tried fries, and like I get all of that. And if people are like, that doesn't make sense. I mean, you'll eat sea salt caramel, right? Like salt, sweet go well together. Yeah. Mush. I'm not getting. It's just, I think it's the texture that's bothering me.
Cream of wheat, the way my grandmother made it, was salty.
Okay.
And the Twinkie was sweet.
And it's soaking up kind of the milk of it, right?
Correct.
All right, I'm kind of getting on board. And then it's just going to be like a tres leche, which Matt knows I just call that wet cake. And I know I'm going to insult the whole community with that. I've never been a fan of tres leche. It's just wet cake. Just give me the cake, not wet. And it's triple wet. That's insane. Too much wet. All right. So I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for sharing with us. I want to let people know that they can find you on Facebook and on Instagram, but also the Skittle Squad Podcast.
Yep.
Coming up on season 52. No. What season are we about to start?
So we're still in season 4, and we're airing episodes from the You'll Be Gagged event where I actually dressed in drag for the very first time.
Real quick, let's talk about that. And I want to talk about that real quick because as somebody who took a while to come to terms and accept that they're gay, and accept who they are, and this is who I am as a gay person, I can say I went through my own journey of that, right? And then through my own journey of that, I remember when I was on the board year 2 of St. Pete Pride. Mm-hmm. And then we did a turnabout, which was like the board members of St. Pete Pride did drag at Georgie's Alibi back in the day.
Yep.
And we raised money for the organization. So it wasn't great drag, but so on. So I was dating Brian Longstreth at the time.
Yeah.
So him and I were on the board. And it was a very surreal feeling where a drag queen, actually not a drag queen, a former postman, Scott, gave us a whole bunch of high heel shoes that he had. Of Brian Longstreth and I walking around the house in high heels to figure out what's comfortable, which was a very surreal, like, what is happening type thing. This is odd. Because neither one of us did drag. Both of us are kind of sporty guys, and was just, drag was not the part of gay that we were type thing.
Right.
And so there was also a bit of, like, letting go of that faux feeling of, am I going to be judged for not being masculine? Am I going to be judged for being feminine? Am I going to be judged? And it was interesting when I first did drag, and then I did it for multiple turnabout events, and I would fill in on bingo, and I've done it for any number of silly reason or not silly reason at this point. For me, I put it in because I did a lot of acting. Mm-hmm. For me, it was like, well, if I can put on a suit and walk on stage and play a salesman in a play, there's zero difference to me of playing that role than putting on drag and playing a woman or this version of a woman. To me, it's you're putting on a costume and playing a character.
Right.
And I think the interesting thing about drag queens, and I'll actually have a drag queen on at some point coming up, she said yes, is that character is usually like a version of themselves that they're letting out type thing.
Right.
Which is a really kind of more of a fun introspective look. And that's not exactly what I was doing. I was just playing a character of this is what I think a woman acts like, which, by the way, very insulting and problematic when you look back. But what was your experience on having, you've gone through the journey of accepting yourself and now you're doing drag. Did that feel weird? Did you have to go through all of that yourself, or is that just a me thing? It was a weird
experience for sure. It was one of those things where, they contacted me, Winter Pride contacted me and said, hey, we're doing this drag event with local celebrities.
I mean, that's how they're going to get you to do anything. Listen, had they called me a local celebrity, I'd have thrown the wig on, put the corset on, and been there.
And because it was charity, I immediately said yes. Yeah. And then as soon as I hung up the phone, I was like, why did I say yes? So, but it was a good opportunity because we were able to film the show the entire day on site at Cocktail and got, a bunch of episodes. I was scared of two things. The first thing was because it was at the wet spot, there's that bridge that's over the pool. I was scared I was going to fall into the pool at some point.
Walking in, were you in heels?
I was in go-go boots, so I did take the easy way out.
Okay, cop out. That's fine.
Yeah.
I wanted pure hooker on my look.
Yeah,
I can't walk in heels, and yet I was like stiletto, because if I'm going to be a woman, she's a whore.
No,
all right.
No. And then my second one was that I was scared that people wouldn't tip me.
Sure.
None of which happened. Both of those were...
all built in your head.
Built in my head, and it was fine. But the thing is, when you do it for the first time, I don't know if this was your experience, but, you're nervous like the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then you're into the performance.
And then you're into the act, you're into the lip sync. I would assume you practiced a bunch.
Not as much as I probably could have.
Always the case. But then you're in it, and you're just enjoying, and you're having fun at a certain point. That was absolutely. The other thing was the first time I ever did drag. The drag queen that did my makeup, it was kind of lighter makeup and so on. And then I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh crap, I'm my mom. Like I looked way more like my mom than I was ready for in that moment type thing. And then, and she came out to the first time I did drag actually. I don't think she was impressed, but she did come out, and there's something to be said about that support. But yeah, that was an interesting, but it's funny because it's just it's different.
Yeah.
And and it's just when people think gay people, I think they think that it's one umbrella. But as we talk about, like everybody's an individual, and if you aren't that performer, if you aren't that style of performer, if you're not, then you're going to have to do that, and that's its own stress type thing. And for me, like I said, I think I read too much into it, but there was about a bit of letting go of my own perceptions of myself, and who cares what people are going to think about me? Who cares if people don't tip you? Who cares? You're there to have fun. You're there for this reason. Just go have fun. And once you got into that, it's fun.
Yeah, and I mean, picture it. So I'm in a hotel room at the Mari Jean. It's me, Pastor Andy Oliver, and Veronica Fox and Raquel Blue are doing our makeup and hair and all that. And all of us ended up raising $15,000.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was well worth it.
Yeah, that's so great. Because I remember you and I had talked prior about your slight stress on it and so on. And then, I'll never do this again. But then afterwards, when I asked you how it went, and you were like, I might do it again. I mean, like,
we'll see.
A twist of an arm, the right charity. You let go of all of that, and you realize, like, it can just be a good time.
Yeah, right now, Holiday is retired, but she may come out.
But you never know.
She may come out.
All right, so tell people where they can find Skittle Squad and everywhere you want people to find you.
Yeah, so you can catch the Skittle Squad podcast. We do air episodes every week on Wednesdays. We are on a 2-week hiatus right now because of the holidays.
Sure.
But we stream on YouTube. We stream on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you can get your podcasts, you can find us.
And any last-minute advice for people on food other than trying your weird Midwestern single leche option?
No, I mean, just if you're one of those people that struggle with your weight like I do, don't punish yourself if you happen to have a piece of cake or have a slice of pizza. Don't guilt yourself.
Yeah.
You can always go back
Yeah.
and get back on track. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
So, don't punish yourself for stuff like that.
I think that's good advice. So thank you for opening up. Thank you for being a part of this, Paul.
Thank you.
That is an episode of It Gets Butter. Thank you very much. Oh, we have a theme song. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Why do I keep saying that? Then I have to sing it. He's already shaking his head no. Sometimes life can make you shudder, but don't you worry, because it gets butter. All right. I'm not a singer. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.